Okay, so part 3. Um, wow, I have dreaded this for like a week now. And I tried for 4.5 hours last night um, to do it, and mainly it just resulted in me just staring at my phone, not even knowing where to begin, or how to try to talk to this. And then today, it's kind of been like, at first Desmond was barking and would come in here and start barking, and then he finally settled down, and then it's like I've gone and started a few times, and then something like weird would kind of happen, or I'd have this really anxious, nervous feeling and get kind of like spooked, or anyway, so I'm gonna try one more time to get through this and power through it in one video. And if I can't, like if whatever, then I'm just gonna have to have somebody help me, like put the pieces together that I do have. Yeah, because I gotta get through this and move forward with my life. I had tried to in the last week to kind of put together a timeline. I had gone back through and like looked at text messages, Ring camera stuff, screenshots, just like everything, like to kind of like, map out a high level timeline of stuff that had happened, just help me kind of move through this and speak to it quickly and recap it and just, get this all behind me, this little section here. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like productive but counterproductive because I can tell you from a high level like view everything that's gone on, but there's just like seeing it all in detail and like rehashing it. I just was like, ugh, like probably stuff I didn't remember for a reason because I didn't want to remember it. Anyway, but if anybody knows, like this is serious, if anybody knows anybody at Discovery Channel or any other network that films ghost stories, shows, whatever, please actually have them get in touch with me. They can rent my house for like a year or two, between my house and this neighborhood. Literally, you can create a whole new show, and you will have more content than you will even know what to do with. It's like a gold platter for people who do that stuff. I will not be your host or have anything to do with the show, but yeah, kind of get it off my plate for a while if you want to rent the house for a year or two. And like, people are probably like, Grace, like, what are you doing? Just like sell the house, don't talk about it, move on. Like, this isn't helping your case. Yes, like I understand that's a very rational thought, but I have decided a long time ago, before my awakening, before any like I would ever was going to broadcast my story, that I just like wasn't going to just like sell it and just turn a blind eye. That's just not who I am to my core. Like it's just not me, and like I would forever have discomfort or be worried about what was going on here, and that I just like kind of like washed my hands of it, and wasn't not being transparent. So yeah, it's gonna have to be somebody who just, some people are just really, really not sensitive to stuff, or like not fazed by it, or if you have multiple people like living with you, like you're less, I guess, kind of just like targeted. I don't know. I just like, I personally wouldn't want kids living here. Really helping my case. You know what, Discovery, just like please contact me, like do us both a favor, like trust me on this one, it's gonna be gold for you. Anyway, okay, so I I wrapped up last time the part 2 with the blonde. She appeared on the Ring camera May 16th. I had gone to the metaphysical store. One thing I forgot to mention, I think, is when I was there, kind of the day of the meltdown from getting scratches and all of that. One of the things that the gal had asked was, do you think that you have any attachments, or is it just like specific, all just contained to my home? And I was like, attachments? Like what? And she was like, well, do you think that like they've attached spirits? Like if you're like an open energy body person, I don't know exactly the phrase she used, or if you live in like a haunted area, whatever, like, I don't know, it's kind of a common thing, I guess. I don't know. I kind of was like, just like, it upset me more. And I just was like, why would you even plant that seed in my head? Like, I don't really care about hypothetical attachments. I have bigger fish to fry in this moment. I just need help. Like, I have quickly become a believer of, I've just been on this like fast track, like to learning things are not hypothetical. Anyway, so yeah, I had gone home, my friend and I smudged, that stuff, and then it got better for a couple weeks, then it got worse, and then it was June 11th that, I got driven out of my home, and I kind of had a cave, and even though it was like against my better judgment at the time, or like I wasn't comfortable with it, I had to text the spiritual healer because I didn't have any other options. And anyway, and so I was telling, Holland was with me when I was texting him, and I was kind of like venting to her, and Holland's like one of my very, very best friends, and she plays, and her mom's like a second mom to me, her family's like family to me, and she plays like a larger and larger part in this story, and she's kind of been here, alongside me through all of this, and like her name will come up more frequently. But anyway, I was just kind of like stressing or venting to her, like, there's probably so many like fake people who do this type of stuff, like kind of like scam artists or whatever. I was like, that'll just, because it's, it's, hard to understand for a lot of people if you're not familiar with it, which many aren't. And anyway, it just seems like a quick way to make cash, and like nobody really can prove like what you're doing. I don't know. It's kind of how I viewed it at the time, and to me, it's like, I know that I always knew there were people who like had these gifts, but like to me, I was always like, would have been a firm believer, like you're born with it or you're not. Like there's no, there's no in between. And I didn't care about the money. I just needed somebody who could really help me. And I didn't know, like Google, by Googling people, like I thought like that kind of seemed flaky or sketchy. And then, yeah, anyway, I went with this like, direct recommendation, even though I didn't know any of the gals or anybody and who would anyway, whatever. My point is I was just like so set in, like, when Holland had said like, no, you can learn how to do this, like you can take courses and training, and like people can harness like and learn to develop abilities and all that. I just like kind of just looked at her and rolled my eyes and was like, yeah, whatever, no, I'm not buying it. All I'm saying is like, I need major friggin' help at my house, and just promise that you are going to help me find somebody who's legit if this doesn't pan out. And so, okay. So it was, let's see here. Okay, yeah. So this didn't make sense at the time either, but when I was texting I think I originally called and had like an hour conversation with the spiritual healer, and I, when I decided I had to do it, and he had said, I had asked him, like, are you going to be able to, when he said he could help me clear out the space, I said, are you going to be able to, like, tell me, like, give me, like, clarity and, like, details about the situation, like, why, like, what is here, why it's here, what the deal is, like, how can we, like, take care of this so they stay gone for good, or, Like, are you going to be able to, give details, not just like clear it out, but like, help me get a better idea of like how the situation unfolded and what is causing it. And he said, I don't choose like to communicate with spirits, and unless I'm like directly told to do so for a specific reason by my guides. So, if you want those type of answers and like details, like, I have a few mediums who, I really recommend, I trust, like who, do a great job. And he said, we can have coordinate so that there's myself, a spiritual healer, and a medium there that day too, if you're wanting these answers. And I, was, yeah, like the answer was yes, obviously. I want answers. And, so we had agreed, like, coordinated or whatever, a date, June 19th, that they would come here. And, things just kind of continued, to get weirder, and that, like, I don't know, a week or so that, like, week or two that led up to them being here. One of the things was, 2 nights before the spiritual healer and medium were scheduled to come, I had gotten up in the bathroom, or gotten up in the night to use the bathroom, and they went back to my bedroom and laid down, and then all of a sudden I heard like this weird noise, and there was this black bird. I thought it was a black bird flying above my bed, circling. And mind you, at this point there was like the cute blonde on the camera, May 16th, there was stuff that was like, whatever. So I just, there was a black bird circling the bed, and I had a full-blown, like, just like panic meltdown, got Desmond, got in the car, went to a friend's, and just watched the clock until I could call, like, Critter Ritter, whatever it was, the next morning when they opened. And they had like said that, we'll be by in the afternoon. Go back and, like, if you know what room it's in, keep the door, like, try to keep that door closed or whatever. It'll make it a little easier. So, like, I just, like, was scared walking through my house, like, trying to, like, whatever, close the door, and, like, close doors or kind of like look in a room, see if I could figure it out, like, if it was in there or not, close the door. And it was probably after a couple hours, like, I did not see a bat anywhere. Well, a black bird at the time is what I thought it was. And so at this point, like, I'm just sitting on the couch, like, Desmond's next to me, I'm wrapped in a blanket, just sobbing, just thinking, like, what on earth? Like, what, like, was that even real? Like, is this part of, like, the cute blonde who's not real, like, on camera? Or, like, it was, like, full meltdown at that point. And then all of a sudden, this, like, little bat, like, I have this, like a kind of a planter with a plant thing in it, in my living room, that, like, is on a floor stand. Anyway, this little, like, bat, like, crawls out and pokes his head out of the planter. And at that point, it was like, then it became tears of relief that at least it is real. Like, at least, this is a real, like, whatever, it's real. It's not like spirit stuff. So Critter Ritter came, they got the bat, and then that will, like, play a more important role later, like, not in this episode, but, like, that comes into play later on. Anyway, and so they still, like, they could not figure out, though, how the bat would have got inside. Like, it made no sense. Like, they, looked, they just basically was like, there's no point of entry. Like, the only potential was, like, through my closet. Like, there's, like, a crawl space, like, the top of my closet, there's, like, I don't know, a thing you move. And, that was, like, on there, pretty secure, but I guess there was, like, the tiniest crack. Like, I would not even think, like, I think it would be hard to get, like, piece of paper through it. It was so small. but I guess bats can get in like the tiniest areas. Anyway, that was like the only plausible thing that they could, that the critter people thought it could have got in. Otherwise, maybe just like when the back door, like if it had been opened at night, like a little bit, like through the draft, I guess they can come in. Anyway, like, so it just didn't really make sense, but the bat was gone, whatever, it was real, check, okay, we're headed in the right direction in my mind, I'm thinking. Well, like a day and a half later, a spiritual healer and a medium come. And I had my best friend's mom with me because I had no idea what I was getting into or what to expect. And, you know, it's like, at that point, like, do you, like, I had like waters and pop and like whatever the fridge is always stocked with and like red wine here and stuff. And I said to her mom, I was like, so, I mean, should we like drink a bottle or two before they get here? Why they get here? Like, I didn't know what to expect, what ritual or seance was going to go on. I just was like, oh God. Or like, you know, do I stay sober for this? Like, I don't know. Like, you know, nothing made sense. Anyway, to drink or not to drink. Okay, so we waited till they got here, like did the introductions or whatever, and then, you know, to drink was Holland's mom and I's decision of, yeah, if they're not going to, like, I can't help but like get through this, right? Okay, so the spiritual healer, like, he kind of did his thing. Like, they're both really nice and everything, and they're, you know, I think I mentioned at some point, like, this whole spiritual realm and like spirits in limbo, kind of this haunted, like the people who like are spirits that haunt your house, so to speak. I want nothing to do with at this point, and it makes me really uncomfortable, and it's like there are a few blank gaps I probably need to get more clarification on, or they would be helpful, but like I just haven't been motivated to care to find out, because it's like I don't want to know. I don't want to open those lines of communication for me. Like, I just, you know, it's not my thing. So I'll do my best to take you through it, describe it, and if I get more, if I think of anything later, if I get like specific names of like, I don't know what they used or did, then I'll like add it to the description section of the video or Instagram. Anyway, but okay, like, so just kind of bear with me. I'm gonna do my best. So the spiritual healer like was like walking through the house. Like, I think he had like, I don't know, he had, well, dragon's blood incense, which those kind of, I guess, take away negative energy, and I think they work. To me, kind of more than sage, but again, I live in a wonky house, and I don't know if like my place is really the best basis for comparison for that stuff. But anyway, he had like dragon's blood incense, and he was like praying, and he just like, I don't really know what else, like, but like, you know, was kind of going room by room. Well, I just kind of like hung with the medium, and there were a couple times where she had to like step outside because it was just like too much. There was obviously a lot of activity here, a lot to sort through. And so she like had stepped outside to like kind of take a break, get a breather. And then there were some rooms like my upstairs bedroom and bathroom that she was like, I'm gonna wait for the guy, you know, for him to come in here with me and do this, because I don't feel comfortable. It's just not good feelings. And when I, like, how, you know, however she worded it, but like feel certain ways or certain things, she goes, it's not what I'm not gonna do it alone. So, you know, she was kind of going through the rooms and seeing like, you know, kind of mapping out like who was where, what was going on, getting a feel for the situation. And multiple times she would say like, you know, I feel really, really bad for you. Like, I cannot believe you have like made it like, you know, that you have put up with this, or you've, you know, been able to make it this far for as long as you have with like all this. She's like, you know, this is just like more than, this is a lot. of stuff here. And she said, and multiple times she said, you know, they're all here because of you. She goes, you know, usually when I go, she's like, they're all here, good or bad, like regardless of whether they were good or bad things, like spirits are like, well, I'll try to explain this more later. She said, you know, they're all like, basically just like everything in this house and around this house is here because of me. And she's like, I just am so sorry. Like, you're just like such a target. And, yeah, and I was like, well, it's no surprise, like, there, like, I have, like, lived among this, like, it feels pretty freaking directed at me, like, whatever we have going on here. And she said, usually when I go places, you know, it'll be, like, they're either, like, attached to a house or the land or, you know, like, a few or whatever, like, you know, are there because of a person or some of the people living there, she said, but it's not, like, to this degree. So, anyway, like, didn't surprise me, but, like, whatever. Again, new to all this. And then at one point, you know, the spiritual healer was he had, like, gone through kind of, like, and did his thing, like, in each room of the house, like, clearing it, praying silently with the incense. And I don't know if he had a candle or if there was anything else, but, you know, then he had gone outside to, like, the front yard and the backyard and was using sea salt to, like, I guess, like, put, like, a protection boundary around the property. And at this point, I'm just like, oh my God, like, neighbors, or if somebody drives by, like, you know, because it's just, like, it's a big thing of sea salt, and, like, somebody's just, like, salting the ground. And, you know, I was mortified, but, like, at this point, like, I was just like, I don't care what friggin' happens. If you can make this nonsense stop, like, I gotta get past the embarrassment. Look where we are today. Anyway, okay, so he did that in the front yard and then moved to the backyard. And then the medium and I walked in the backyard, like, once he was out there, and he had said there was an energy portal in, like, that corner of the yard where the back fence line, like, where the back line of the fence that was the privacy met the metal fence along the side. And he said that it was, there was in that corner that Desmond, like, pointed at, there was an energy portal that people could, like, come and go from, spirits could come and go from. Yeah, I don't know a lot of the details about energy portals, so I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. And then, you know, Melissa would, I'm gonna have to get permission to use her name or find how to beep that. The medium had said that everything was flocking to, like, there was, like, spirits from all directions of the neighborhood were flocking to the back fence. Like, they were just, like, lined up along the fence, I guess. And she said that she had only seen that one other time. And anyway, and then she had asked the spiritual healer to open a, like, energy portal to the heavens, like, or to open the light, I guess, like, open a light portal, so that any spirits in limbo who wanted to could, you know, get into the light and go to the heavens and get out of this, like, limbo that they're stuck in. Because spirits, just like spirits in the sense that we're discussing, just like humans, have free will. So they don't have to go to the light, or they don't, you know, they can still choose to stick around for whatever reason, if they want to. But anyway, like, I guess tons were going into the light, and, you know, she was tearing up, and, like they were, like, rejoicing, like, they were, like it was, like, cheer and, like excitement, like, it was, like, a huge, like, great, amazing thing that they, you know, were able to, like, find the light and get to the other side. And then another thing is, like, she had said, like, I keep hearing, and I think maybe from her guides, she said, I keep hearing, it's 10 feet back, go 10 feet back. She said, so she said to the spiritual healer, can you please go, salt like 10 feet, I guess, further out from the property? And I was like, oh, I said, well, like my property line technically runs like it is 10 foot behind the back of the fence. I said, but the fence just doesn't go there, and there's kind of like a slope in the ground, so it had to be where it was. And she's like, oh, well, I guess that's why, that's why they're saying this. Okay, so there's just, some stuff like that I can't think of any other stuff off the top of my head right now, but, just like, she would have had no way of knowing that. So we go, like, after, this stuff outside, we go into the kitchen. My friend's mom and I, and then the spiritual healer and the medium, to kind of like discuss and like at this point, like, do an overview of what's here, what's going on. And yeah, so okay. It's never gonna not be weird. I'll just say that. Okay. So the guy who came and went from the energy portal as he pleased, and who walked the backyard and like kind of like did the stuff like out there, like in the middle of the night, the cigarette smell and the footsteps in the backyard, was the same guy who was in the corner of my bedroom and stood there all the time, like in the corner of my bedroom 24/7, and just like watched me and said, I like pretty little things, and just kept saying like he likes pretty little things. Like, and he was like from the 1920s, and he didn't respect like women. So like, in the 1920s, that's when he like had overalls on and boots and like smoked a pipe or something. But anyway, he did not respect women, and like when that was like the time they had the right, like about the time women's suffrage and all that, and he like, didn't believe they were equal to men, and like he just had absolutely no respect for women. And so aside from him just like, I guess, being like physically attracted to me, I don't even know if that's the right term to use for spirits, I don't know, disgusting, weird. Anyway, he respected the child boundary, like he still respected children. So, but that guy, the creep guy from the 1920s, who just like stood in the corner of my bedroom, and that's like the eyes that I just felt on me 24/7, that I was like way too scared to ever sleep, like ever sleep. I think like maybe I slept an hour or two a night, maybe 3, like on a major night. A lot of nights I never slept. I mean, I don't even know like how I did it, like honestly. I don't like probably divine intervention of some kind, I guess, like, because it doesn't even make sense how I literally didn't sleep for basically, at that point, almost a year of living in this house anytime I was home. And anyway, but so he had attached himself to me, I guess. We'll kind of circle back to that. But then there was a 30-year-old who was in the basement. Her name is Edith. And she had like confined herself to, so there's a unfinished storage, like a room that's like, it's unfinished, but it's like clean storage area or whatever. She had like confined herself in there and like claimed that as her space. Because of the smoke monster who lived in the crawl space. I'll circle back to that. But anyway, so this kind of like 30-year-old who was sassy Edith, she was good, I guess, just kind of sassy, and like something had happened or she had been through something that caused her to be that way. And so she though, and this is what I don't understand how this works. So anyway, I'll update you later or when if I get clarification, or I don't know. Just kind of hoping to move on from the house stuff. Anyway, she had like summoned the 8-year-old version of herself, who was sat on the corner of my bed in the bedroom to protect me from the creepy 1920s guy, because even though he didn't respect women and there was like no male who lived in this home like with me, or like so he like basically it was just like a cash cow for him or whatever, like this situation for like why he chose me, I guess. So 8-year-old Edith sat on the corner of my bed and just like between me and this guy who would like, it started to kind of like it was, had time gone on, like had it not got sorted out when it did, it was getting to the point where like he would have like, I guess, done worse things, but I don't know. Yeah. So like it's all freaking weird, and it's probably like I can't even imagine like somebody telling me all this, like if it wasn't my situation and if I hadn't lived it, and if it didn't all make like sense of some degree of like actually like knowing, living here and living among it, and then like it being sorted out and it making some of it making some sense, I don't even know what's running through your head, because this is like not even stuff I think like to this date I have only told like maybe 4 to 6 people like about the details of what was sorted out here, because it's like so hard and weird it's so hard for me to talk about. It weirds me out, and like I just, again, ready to GTFO. But anyway, like one of the things I had asked the medium earlier in the day, while, closer when they first got here, was, is Desmond okay, my dog? Are there any of them like that are messing or mean with him, or, is the target just me, or is he the target of anything? And she said, okay, I'll let me tap into this, let me check. And then, so she kind of like, I don't know, closed her eyes, or maybe she was asking or whatever. It was all like, she wasn't speaking out loud, I guess, to asking the question to anyone at that point. It was, she was channeling it, like telepathy or telepathically, or however she reads, however it works for her. And she like had like dropped her 15 seconds later or whatever, she like dropped her head and covered her ears and kind of like I don't know, squinted her eyes, like grimaced or whatever. And she said, yeah, there's a little girl here who is obsessed with Desmond. Like she's obsessed with him. And she said, but she goes, there's like, I'm not getting a read from anybody else that like Desmond's a factor. Like it's just you. And so anyway, this little girl who sat on the edge of my bed to protect me, but to put herself between like me and the creepy guy, she was the one who petted Desmond all the time. And that is the reason that Desmond was so burnt out of pets and acted that way, which that made sense. But anyway, the 8-year-old Edith had like said that all she wants to do is help me sleep and protect me, and like I never sleep. And so I guess the 8-year-old was like really like run down or worn down looking, because like she was so exhausted like trying to protect me so I could sleep, but I never slept, or whatever. So anyway, and then the hot blonde from the night vision, like that whole night, that was 23-year-old Edith. So it was still like, it was the 23-year-old version of the Edith who had confined herself, the 30-year-old who had confined herself in the storage room in the basement. The 23-year-old Edith, she resided in my office. And she was here to help me because she could relate to my situation and what I was going through. And she really wanted to help me like get back on track and get on the like my right path, like the right path for me in life. And she was very nice, but just like more like had her own, she just like wanted to be able to communicate with me, and I wouldn't talk to her, I guess. And I'm like at this point looking at the medium like, yeah, well, I don't want to talk to anyone ever. Like, can you just please establish that I'm not here to listen or to do anything, and I don't want guidance, and this is like, you know, at that point I didn't know the difference between, I didn't know what a higher self was, I didn't know a spirit guide or the divine or spirits in limbo, like I had no understanding of any of it then. All I knew is like, nope, not interested in any of this, and I obviously am not a medium, don't have these abilities, so like, just like, help me get this worked out and get them out of here. I'm not going to talk to anybody. And then there was a like male in his 20s who hung out in my upstairs bathroom, and he liked to like kind of pet my hair sometimes, or like touch my arm, and like, you know, because he thought I was pretty, but like he was not the creepy, scary, bad guy from the bedroom who had attached himself to me. He was just different and like just kind of like harmless, I guess, like weird, but like harmless, like I don't know, whatever, like just he like didn't really come up as a main concern. Like he wasn't a main concern. It was just like, okay, like, you know, get them all out. And apparently though, that is Edith's like husband, or it was her husband, or whatever it was. And I don't know what happened, but like obviously 30-year-old Edith in the basement who confined herself from the smoke monster was like kind of sassy and bitter, and she wasn't like the sweet, nice, like, or like as whatever as the 23-year-old who could relate to me, who was like really trying to help guide me. So something happened, and I don't know if it was with the guy from the bathroom or not, but he kind of like comes and goes, like, I guess based on 23-year-old Edith here. So those were kind of the main like spirit players, and then there were two non-human entities, which I call them smoke monsters. One in the crawl space that had continued to, that was a demonic presence that had kind of like grew its power and had started to overtake the house. So the crawl space in the basement, so if you go down the, you know, set the stairs to like the basement, there's still like full window light down there, but anyway, and then like on one of the walls, there's kind of like a thing that it looks like the wall, but like technically it can like lift off, and then you can like go into that like area. And it goes like that area runs underneath the upstairs living room where like, you know, the front window is of the house when you first walk in the front door, like the crawl space like would go under the living room floor upstairs. So that like smoke monster thing was demonic or whatever. And then there was a kind of smoke monster type thing that was like in the front of the house, like the mailbox is on the house, and so it was kind of like in the front of the house by the garage, under like the mailbox. And I guess like everything's on a, like, you know, energy is energy, I've learned, and there's like a quantum energy grid that everything works on. Like it's universal, like, you know, planetary systems, like everything. It's, you know, there's like a quantum energy grid. Like for us in the 3D, like who we can see, talk, interact with, like what we know to be real and true, and like, you know, whatever else, you know, we only like the human senses, what we can see with the blind eye or hear, like those frequencies, you know, it's very, very limited on how like huge the frequency and energy and these, you know, scales are. But anyway, so there's this like thing in front, this kind of like non-human presence in front of the mailbox. Like it basically was like a smoke signal, like a, hey, like there's a lot of activity at this house, like, you know, we run the show. It kind of was just like, it basically was like a hand raise for all the spirits in among this area. It's already a high traffic, this whole area, high traffic energy. So like, you know, spirits, alien activity, and, you know, just whatever else. It's anyway, so like this thing in the front of the house was like attracting more nonsense. And like one of the things that, so, you know, you know, when the spiritual healer, I was like just sitting in a chair in the kitchen, and like the guy, he had like kind of like had his I don't know if he had like had his like hands like over my shoulders or like kind of like toward my back, like against my back or something. But, you know, as he was removing this attachment of the creep guy, the 1920s, like, I guess, you know, the medium was sitting there, she was kind of like interpreting stuff, and she was like, you know, he's really mad, he doesn't, like, he's so offended, and like he doesn't understand like why you wouldn't want him around here or around you. And I'm just like, what freak show like is this? Like of course I wouldn't want him here. Like so like just the whole thing, you know. I'm just kind of sitting there like, oh my god, like open another bottle of wine or something. Anyway, and so but then one of the things she had said was, when, you know, the spiritual healer was removing that attachment and she was, you know, translating that, one of the things she said was that the little girl Edith, she was begging to stay. She was like so like invested in me and Desmond, and like anyway, and like in the look on the medium's face, it just like broke my heart. Like I just like felt so bad, and like, you know, a sweet 8-year-old little girl who pets Desmond and like, you know, protected me from this weird, like, okay, again, I don't even watch scary movies. Like, in hindsight, yes, that was naive, and no, I will tell you later why. Anyway, I said yes. Yeah, shouldn't have done that. That was my fault. But I just kind of figured, like, they would tell me if, I assumed the fact that they were even, like, they were asking, and, like, you know, when she said that, and I was like, yeah, I guess, like, I feel bad. And, you know, I would have thought the spiritual healer, maybe, he would have, like, been like, no, like, you know, I thought somebody would have shot. I just didn't even think the option would be on the table if it was normal. But the spiritual healer did say, he's like, well, you know, you don't have to be worried. He said, like, it's not like the movie, whatever, the movie you see. And in my mind, I was like, whatever, I don't care. I don't watch scary movies. I don't even know what you're talking about, but, you know, don't tell me. Okay, so whatever. And then, you know, another thing she had said, like, as we're sorting this stuff out, is, like, my mom kept trying to come through. Like, my mom kept really, like, wanting to come through and talk to me. And I had never, at this point, been, I had never been to a medium. I had never had any interest in going to a medium. Like, I just, like, you know, my mom passed away, like, but I just, like, always had, like, inner peace that, like, knowing she was good, she was fine where she was. I've always been able to feel her with me. Like, I've just had this feeling of knowing that she's totally, all is good. I've had inner peace with this. So never have I seen a medium, sought out a medium for any reason, like, all new to me, y'all. So, okay. So, and so the medium was like, I'm gonna tell her no. Like, I don't want her to come through with, you know, we're sorting through too much stuff here. I don't want to. And I was like, yeah, no, like, you're not allowed. Like, don't open that line of communication. Like, don't bring my mom into this. Like, yeah, like, I agree. No, yeah, okay. So, then other stuff was, you know, the 23-year-old Edith was saying from The Office was telling the medium, like, I, you know, need to use skills that, like, I've used in my, you know, profession before, and like, but like, I'm not in the right I wasn't in the right profession, and like, I'm meant to like have like run my own show and do my own thing, and like run my own show is in the sense of like not a show, like not like a YouTube channel or like a like TV show, like run my own business type of deal, and like you know, creative and unique and different or whatever. And you know, at the time, like, I'm like, yeah, well, that's really broad. Like, thanks, gal, but I just, most importantly, get out of my house. Okay, so that was kind of like the takeaway there. The medium, yeah, didn't let my mom come through. And then another thing, okay, this is like, you know, in hindsight, it makes more sense. But at the time, she was saying that nearby spirits who were not associated or related to being and living or existing or attached to my home or to me or whatever else, they were like, it was a guy and a gal, spirits though, at a nearby house. They were like on the front porch, and they were like kissing, like a young married couple, and that they were coming through trying to talk to me. And I was like, okay, for the love of God, why on earth are spirits who, let alone, they're not even in my house, or like they're not even here, why are other spirits vested in trying to come through and talk to me? Like, what on earth? Like, I just like, and I like said that, and the medium's like, you know, I don't know. I like, she's just kind of like, you know, I'm sure, like, you know, I'm starting to learn, like, once you're able to tap into these and harness these abilities, you do, like, experience a lot of weird things, and some of it you can explain, some of it you can't, like, anyway, but she was just like, yeah, I'm not really sure either, but their answer was, like, you know, they were young and in love and married and happy, and, like, their message for me was, don't forget what it's like to have this, like, and to feel happy and to feel joy, and, like, you know, you're gonna be okay. And you know, I'm just like, okay, great, but like, you know, whatever. And at this point, it's like, we're kind of, you know, wrapping up. It's been 4 hours. We're all just like kind of worn out. And you know, I do a lot besides like drink wine, but you know, but really it was like, you know, it's emotionally exhausting. Like, you're sorting out like what you've been living along. Anyway, so that was kind of that, and as you can see that we're gonna have to do a part 4. I was hoping to get, we're already at 48 minutes. This is freaking absurd. Maybe I'm gonna have to edit this down, but at least I got through it, and we're gonna have to do a part 4 because, yeah, that was my mistake of leaving allowing any spirits to stay here. It actually wouldn't have made a difference. That, you know, everything that's come to light since then and the circumstances, like, but so I guess the second time the spiritual healer had to come back, slightly my thing, but okay, so next time we're gonna pick up with, you know, kind of like after they left that day, kind of how the next week or 10 days played out, and then the scary stuff that started happening, and the spiritual healer coming back a second time, and a little more clarity to some of the stuff, and then you know, we got past that, a month or so, not even, had passed, and weird stuff was happening again, and at that point I had reached out to the medium for like more clarity, and that's where you know, that point I'll get to at the end of I guess the next part 4, the next episode, of where she came back and like the messages and everything that was like to tell me about my abilities and powers, and like everything that had been like flocking and following, and that whatever was because of me, and like whatever I am in this world or trying to sort out, or but it has led to like a large part of like my awakening, and all of that. So we're getting there. We have one more part to get through, and then I will be able to talk to you guys, I guess, more about stuff I like some of the more stuff that is more positive and lights me up and not related to my house. Because at this point, like when they to date, I don't know that I had seen any alienish activity prior to the first time the spiritual healer and medium had come on my Ring camera. So like the alien thing was like not even like on the radar yet, I guess you could say. But there was it was just strictly spirit or bad energies in this house. There was the fridge talking noise that sounded alien-ish, but at that point that was like the only like alien thing I would describe. And then the black SUVs. But that stuff will kind of start appearing, I guess, in part 4. Okay, bye y'all.